Hi, my friends and followers. Welcome back to my channel. Again, I'm Maxine Whitfield, and today my subject is signs. Do you even pay attention or even realize how often your guides, your angels give you signs? Well, I'm going to point out a lot of signs that you might not even be paying attention to because you don't even realize that that's what they are. So anything that I can do to help improve your life is what I'm trying. And if you follow me along, then I am sure there will be messages that you receive from me that will help you be a happier person and to show you how to live your life in truth instead of fear. Now, before I go on, I do want to share with you a poem, as my guides have asked me to share a poem for you out of my book. I wrote this book. It's God's Messages of Truth, Shifting Your Subconscious from Fear to Love. And what's cool about this book is messages out of my poetry that go randomly for you anytime you want to find one. So what I do is I close my eyes and I open up the book, and to whatever page opens, that is the message. And it's about trusting. And it's very interesting because this particular poem that I wrote, and to be honest, my poetry is not actually written from me. It comes through me. Now, meaning that I channel the message, and the messages are always about healing and ways to help you. And guides know the world, the universe, and what most people are feeling. And anyway, that's how it works. And so I just write every single thing they tell me. I don't make this up. So this particular poem is called We Are Changing. And this is so true. Now, I wrote this 3 years ago, but it's fitting right now. Just to let you know, a lot of messages that are received like that don't necessarily have to be something that's going on presently, because in reality, there is no time. Time doesn't even exist in reality. So what works now can work years from now, could have worked years before. So we are changing. Emotions are boiling as we rise one by one. Major personal changes becoming undone. Days are hard, crying and blue. Old parts of self are coming back to you. Being released, gone for good, not to be misunderstood. We are all changing from the inside out. Flow and breathe and let it spout. Just by knowing this too will pass, a new you finally at last. I love how Spirit knows everything. And my last video was about tools that you can use. And this video is about noticing the signs that are given to you. Now, of course, I don't know you personally, but I can share the signs that I get, and they'd be the same for you. So for instance, your mind has all your information, but not your ego. So there's a difference between your messages that you receive from your guides and your ego. Now, the messages you receive are thoughts that come randomly in your head. Nothing you ask for, nothing that you think about. And maybe you did have a question and you wanted to know an answer. So in that respect, it would come in your head. And that's your guides. Unfortunately, what happens is our ego steps in the way and tells you other things like, oh, that's probably not true. Oh, well, I don't really feel like doing that today. Well, I don't know why I thought that, but I'm just going to let it go. Well, of course you can do that because of your free will choice. But that's not what you want to do. Because every single thought that you have is heard. And every single thing that you want, you create. And if you have questions, like about your life, or what's the best thing to do about such and such, or is it good for me to take this pill, or is it good for me to do this or that? I mean, you think these things and your guides are there to answer you. And sometimes it's just a thought that just shows up randomly in your head. And other times it's not a thought. It's a sign for you to follow. And if you don't know it's a sign, then you don't follow it. You don't understand it. And so I'm going to help you so you can start following your signs. And a lot of them are universal, but most of them are universal, actually. So for instance, I've got to think about a lot of things that I've done. And the other thing you can do is you can tell your guides exactly what you want to know and how you want to know it, and they will do that for you too. So, okay, for instance, you're driving to work like, most of you do every day, or you're driving to the doctor's, you're driving to a date. For some reason, let's just say you have an appointment. And if you're like me, you want to be on time. It's only respectful to be on time to your appointments. And in any case, things come up and things happen. And in the past, when that would happen for me, I would rush out the door, try to drive as fast as I could, and, run into this light, that light, and just get so frustrated. Or, you have to stop at a store and there's a long line. So, right now, you're driving someplace and you hit one light after another light after another light, or cars get in front of you and are very slow, that type of thing. That is a sign from your angels telling you that wherever you're headed to, that person you're supposed to see or meet, or the doctor appointment, whatever it is, they are running late. And that's it. Simple. So instead of being frustrated by going one stop sign after another, or one flashlight after another, whatever you have in your area, that's all that means. And then you test it. And that's how you find out, because this is what I've done. Now, some people, well, of course, we're all different. And I'm an analyzer. And I like to know why everything happens, what everything means. And good for you, because I figured a lot of things out, and then I can help you with it. So the situation now, number one, is if you run into a bunch of stop signs, stop lights, cars get in front of you and they're slow, then your appointment is running late. And so you get into that situation, instead of stressing over it, know in your head that that person is late, and go to wherever you're going, and you will see for yourself that what I'm telling you is true. Because that's how it works. Prove everything to yourself. Don't listen to me. I don't want you to go, well, this is how it is and this is how you have to be. No, I'm just helping you to help yourself. So if you get into a store and there's a long line and you're in a hurry, because isn't everyone in a hurry? Or you're just impatient, you just don't want to be in this line. There's a reason for it. You could have wanted to know something, and a person in front of you or a person behind you could have the answer to your question. And you would hear it in a conversation that they're having with someone else. Because guides will have other people answer your questions. Now, there was a situation where my ex-husband and I had bought a truck, a brand new Ford pickup truck from my father. And it was built at the factory and drop shipped over where we lived because we didn't live in the same state. So, we didn't go to his dealership. And this vehicle came down right off the truck as a major big lemon. There was everything you can think of was wrong with that truck. So after a while, and not very long after a while, we had to get rid of it. And back then you couldn't, they didn't have lemon laws, whatever. So we were sitting down having this conversation about, well, what should we get? We're definitely not going to get another Ford. So should we get a Chevy? Should we get a Dodge? And, I never heard of a Dodge or anyone owning one. And, what the reliability of was with a Dodge. So we were talking quite a bit about that. Well, lo and behold, we went to a movie. And the movie had first come out, and this was a long time ago, and there was actually a line around the block just to get into the movie. So while we were standing in line, these two guys were standing right in front of us, and they had a conversation about Dodge trucks. You see, it's miraculous how that works. It's amazing. Because life is always blessing you and always answering your questions. Trust me, you're never alone. Anyway, these two guys were talking about how they both owned a Dodge truck, how much they loved their truck, how they read all this stuff about Dodges and everything they said was true and blah, 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 blah. So we got our answer and we went out and we bought a Dodge truck. Now, this is my point. You're always being guided, even when you don't even know it. So one day, my ex and I wanted to go out of town, and we were short some money, and we were saying, if we just had $100 more, just $100 more, it'd be great. And then 2 days later, he went to work. And at the time, he was working at a glass company. Or actually it was an awning company or something like that. Anyway, he was hanging windows and awnings and, as an independent person doing stuff like that. And when he walked into his work, he was walking on this place, and he stopped, for some reason, he stopped and looked down, and underneath his foot was $100 bill. And there was nobody around. So the universe just flipped him over $100. And that's how that works. They do that for you all the time. When you're open to receive and know that you're always taken care of, and you watch the signs. Because everything happens for a reason, first of all, which doesn't really go with this, but that's my point. So you could be going to a restaurant and you could get stuck in traffic. You could even have a reservation at this restaurant or not have a reservation, but you just want to get there at a specific time or just want to get there, period. And because you have this whole evening planned, and let's just say you don't even have a reservation. So you go and you try to drive to this restaurant, and it's a nice, cute, quaint little place that's a little further out of town because you just want to do something different, something special. But you keep getting held up. Traffic, the worst traffic ever. And this happened, of course. I was with a boyfriend at the time who was a very impatient person. And he was cussing and swearing, and he was just so agitated. And I said to him, hey, there's a reason we're being held up. I bet you $20 the restaurant's full, and we can't even get a seat then anyway. It took us almost 2.5 hours to get to this restaurant when it should have only taken 20 minutes. And as soon as we got there and we walked into the restaurant, the maitre d' comes out, and the first thing he says is, "You guys just got here at the right time, because we were on a 2-hour wait and now we have tables empty." So you see, sometimes it's better to drive in your car and listen to music, have a conversation, than it is to sit in a restaurant for 2 hours and wait for a table. So the point is, we were held up because that was what was happening. Now, there was another time. My ex and I lived in Denver for a while, and we decided to take a flight to the Bay Area, California, and visit my parents, but not tell them. So we were just going to surprise them. And I was trying to learn my intuitive abilities. If you're at all familiar with the Bay Area, there's an airport in Oakland and there's an airport in San Francisco. And we took the Oakland flight, and there is a bridge, and it's not the main bridge that goes through it. So you could take a bridge to San Francisco and then drive north to where my parents lived. Or you could take a bridge from Oakland and pretty much like be right there. So what I did was I asked my guides, which bridge should I take, and try to tap onto my feelings. And so I said, like, well, I should take the Bay Bridge. I was like, no. So I take the Oakland Bridge. And it was like, yeah, take that bridge. So we took that bridge. And oh my God, there was an accident on the bridge. It's a 2-lane road. It took us forever to get across that bridge. And I was so upset with myself for not understanding the correct answer. Because at the time I was still learning and I'm still practicing, these things that I've learned. And so I beat myself up over it. And I was so angry at myself for taking the wrong bridge. Well, lo and behold, it wasn't the wrong bridge, because we drove up to my parents' house, and when we knocked on the door, my mom came to the door, and the first thing she said was, "Oh, well, I can't believe you're here. What a surprise. And oh my God, you got here just at the right time, because we were out for dinner and we just got home like 5 minutes ago." So you see, I took the right bridge because I was held up because my parents weren't even there yet. So you see, who knows? But now you know. Now, there's other situations. I do move a lot. And when I move, you know how it is. You got to get a new doctor, a new dentist. If you get your nails done, you get your hair cut, all of this stuff is new. But mostly with dentists, because that's the biggest deal, is a dentist for me. Because doctors, well, you get an insurance plan and you just end up seeing whoever they have. So it's mostly the dentist. So what I would do is I would open up a phone book, and I would look at all the dentist names in my neighborhood, in my area. And I would kind of try to get a feeling, like, which one feels good. And whatever I picked up first, then I wrote that number down. And I would get a bunch. So I would call. Now, if you make a phone call to anybody like that, a new dentist, a new doctor, whatever, and they don't answer the phone, then that's your guides telling you, don't go there. Because they're not available, and that's why they're not available. Because you're getting a message, don't go there. That's it. And it works every time. I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've moved. And if they answer the phone, that's the right one to go to. Simple. It's trusted. Trusted. That's what you need to do, is trust. Now, if I want to, when I moved to Oregon, I needed a hairdresser. And the hair salons were super expensive in Oregon. And I only get, I don't even know, a half an inch, if not even that, cut off my hair. I don't just do the shampoo and the whole blow dry, and I don't get my hair dyed and do all that kind of stuff. My hair cuts are 10 minutes, if that. And these people were only, charging over 40, 50 bucks. So I'm not going to pay somebody 40 or 50 bucks for a haircut. So it's wow, gosh, what do I do? And you don't have any friends because you're in a place you don't know anyone. So I just told my guides, this is what I need. And my hairdresser that I'd left before I moved told me the type of cut that I get. It had a name. So I walk to Great Clips. Great Clips does not have a great personality or a great writing. They're not really supposedly good hairdressers. But really, what is a good hairdresser? What is a good doctor? What is a good anything? It's not the school that they went to. It's the person that they are. That's all that matters. Some people are born hairdressers. Some people are born to be a doctor. Other people want to be a doctor because I don't even know why, but they're not good. They're not nice. I don't know, maybe they're in it for the money. I really don't know. But you see, it has nothing to do with all of that stuff, because that stuff has been planted in your brain and it's a lie. So I went to Great Clips, I walked in and I said, is there anyone here that knows how to do this particular cut? And this lady goes, I've never heard of it, I don't know. And as I was walking out the door, this hairdresser was there and she goes, I do. So I let her cut my hair, and it was Great Clips. $7 to get my hair cut. And not only that, she ended up being the best hairdresser I've ever had. So you see, my guides helped me with that because they led me to that particular Great Clips. Gosh, there's just so many things. If you're looking for an apartment, and that's the other thing, I've been apartment hunting before, where you look in a specific area and you get all the addresses of the apartments and you drive to each one to talk to these people. But now if you go to the apartment and it has a sign that says out to lunch, we'll be back, don't go back, because that's not where you're supposed to go. Now I did this, of course I've done all of this, but I did this when I was looking for a place to live. A boyfriend and I broke up. We were living together. I had to move somewhere. I had no idea where. So every place I went to had a sign. I mean, every one. Not one place was available. And so then I thought, well, I'll sign up to the, this roommate internet thing where you can try to find a roommate, because the apartments were anyway real expensive. And I couldn't even find a roommate. And I was so frustrated that day. And as I was driving home, and you see, this is when I didn't get the sign, but lo and behold, when I was driving home, I got the sign. Now it's possible that I'd gotten it and didn't pay attention to it, because as I was driving home, I got this voice that screamed in my ear and said, move to San Diego. So did I question it? No. That's what I did, because that wouldn't happen unless that's where I was not supposed to be. So I went back home and called my girlfriend and told her, I'm moving to San Diego. And I told the guy that I was living with, I'm moving to San Diego. And that's what I did. I moved. But because I was only about an hour away, I drove there for the weekend and tried to find a place to live. Now, I wasn't working at the time because my boyfriend was making a lot of money, so he said I didn't have to work. So, but I had a lot of money in my savings account, and I went to all these apartments in San Diego, and it was no, 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 no. And I even had seen this one apartment. It was in a rental magazine, and I fell in love with the pictures. And I thought, you know what? That's the place. Now I know why I was led there, and I'll tell you in a minute. But what happened is I ended up sitting in the lobby in half these apartments crying my eyes out, like, really? You won't let me move here when I could pay 6 months rent up front? Oh no, it's against our policy. You know what I think about policies. But it was really my guides keeping me from all these apartments. But I'm still doing this because this is back in the 90 something, so like 92. Anyway, I ended up driving over to that apartment that I saw in the rental magazine, and I thought, yeah, this is gonna work. This is my place. This is it for sure. And I get up there, and the lady says, "Oh, we just rented our last place." Oh my God. I was so distraught and so unhappy, and I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, but I felt it was right. But actually, I was led to that place because it was in the same neighborhood where I ended up moving to. So I'm driving around the corner, and all of a sudden something turns my head, and I look up, and there's an apartment. But it's not an apartment I would ever want to live in, because San Diego unfortunately has apartments that look like motels, and people just walk by. There's no privacy. But I thought, okay, I better check it out, seeing that I'm not doing too well. And so the manager there said, "Oh, well, it's okay that you don't work, because what I did at that particular time was sell cars." She said, "Well, my husband is a car salesman, and I know you get a job in an afternoon." So she let me move in. And then I told her how I didn't really like that type of apartment. So she says, "Well, I'll put you on the 3rd floor, and on the 3rd floor there's only girls." And wouldn't you know, the girl right next to me, I didn't know her, but we looked alike. Her family knows my family. Her mother knows my sister. I mean, it was crazy. Her adopted uncle I went to high school with. So, there was a connection with our families. And not only that, she was so nice and so friendly that she introduced me to all her friends. And I had a whole bunch of friends the first day that I moved into this apartment in a new city, in a new town where I didn't know anyone. So you see, that's where they wanted me to go. And they weren't going to let me live anywhere until I found that place. And that's also how it works. So life is always giving to you. If you focus on the negative, you won't see it. If you don't follow your thoughts, your intuition, you won't see it. So it's the first thought that comes to your head, other than some of these signs. Always go, well, sometimes you could be held up in traffic because they're keeping you from being in an accident. Right up ahead. That's happened many times where later on I'm driving down the road and there's this big accident that I missed. So you see, you're always being protected, and you're always being guided, and you're always being helped. The problem is that the world has been geared in 100% negativity. And so all of you, including me, have been raised by, even if your parents aren't negative, but trust me, I'm sure they were, negative parents. You've got television is negative, and I'm not talking just the news. TV shows are negative. Comedy shows are negative. Romance shows are negative. Soap operas are negative. Everything is about disease. Oh God, commercials. How you better remember there's an illness going around. You better get a vaccine for it. I mean, think about those warnings and how they're out to get you. They're not out to help you. Television is movies, romance movies are all about the old thought process that you search outside yourself for love, and you find the perfect man and the perfect relationship, and you live happily ever after. And that doesn't happen for anyone, because the love you're searching for is the love of yourself, not somebody else. Nobody on this planet is going to do that for you. And it was never meant to be that way, but this is how we've been raised. So my point of bringing this up is not to be angry and not to be upset. Just forget about it. Let it go. It's not important. Because now, if you haven't figured it out, I'm here to help you figure it out. Show you signs that you can get, or that you always get, actually. At this moment in time, of course, if I would write these things down, I would remember them all. But, I know. So as far as like school goes, all right, so what you can do also is set your situation up. Because you can get whatever you ask for, anything you ask for, but then you got to follow it. And the more you follow it, the more you receive. So I was going to work at one particular time at the school district, and I didn't have to drive on a freeway to get there, but I had to drive through town. And driving through town could take longer sometimes than a freeway because, there's stoplights, there's traffic, there's people, dropping their kids off at school, whatever. So I would make a game out of it. I was going to night school, getting a degree in college. And so I said, okay, every day, or, every day, not every day, but every time I have a test, then if I'm going to pass the test, I don't hit one light. So I didn't set it up like I said, if you hit a light, that means, people are late. So I set it up in a different way. I said, if I make every single light, I got an A on that test, or at least I passed it. And if I hit light after light after light after light, then that means I need to study some more before I go to school to take this test. And you know what? I did this for 5 years, and it worked every time. Every time there was a test, I would, before I left to work, I'd say, okay, there's a test today. So am I going to pass? Because if I'm going to pass, I won't hit any lights. And for 5 years, I didn't hit any lights on the night that I had a test, because I got an A on every single one of those. I mean, are you following me? You can even change what you want. You can do anything, but you have to tell them what you want. You have to describe it. This is why if you want a relationship, you describe it. You write it down on a piece of paper. You write down everything that you want, in this person, and then that person will show up. And sometimes you'll find out that, ooh, I didn't really want that, and I didn't want this, and I didn't want that. So you don't stay with that person, and you change your list. What I do also in that respect is if I want to buy clothes, I know specifically what I want to buy. And this even happened when newspapers were popular and, you looked in the paper for ads. I don't even have to do that. I didn't have to do it then, and I don't even get the paper anymore, so I'm definitely not doing it now. I don't go on the internet and look for any of it. I just tell my guides, I want t-shirts on sale. I want a dress that looks like this on sale. I want sweaters that look like this on sale. And even when I was designing my bathroom and I couldn't figure out, I wanted to change the color and I didn't know what color I wanted to change it to. And then one day it just hit me like a ton of bricks what color to change it to. So I decided, okay, well, the next time I go to the store, I'm going to look for this color. Okay, so let's back it up. I go to bed, I wake up in the morning, and in my head, after I wake up, is a store. Whatever store is in my head, that's where I need to go. Because that's where my clothes are on sale. The colors I want, the style that I want, everything that I want is sitting right there on the counter for sale. Now, when it came to the changing the color of my bathroom, I got sent to Macy's. Thank the Lord they sent me that day, because Macy's, of course, was having a sale. There wouldn't be any other reason for me to be there. So I bought the carpet, and I bought some towels. And I don't know, I didn't buy one of the towels that I should have got. And I went back to the store like a couple of days later. The sale was over. And a hand towel, the one that I wanted on sale was like $5 or $7. When I went back and the sale was off, it was $26 for that towel. And it's just a hand towel. Like, oh my Lord, $26. Thank you for sending me to the store when it was on sale. Do you see? It's just awesome. You don't need a paper. You definitely don't need to, watch the news. You don't need to know anything that's going around. When I travel, same thing. I want to travel here. You tell me the date. And then when the date comes up, that's the date I go. I don't even pick that, because you don't know. Do you want to travel and get stuck in an airplane, or do you want to get stuck in bad weather, or do you want to visit family and they're all in a crappy mood? I mean, do you see what I'm saying? No, you don't want to do that. So you let your guidance guide you the days that are good for you. Everything that works for you. And you see, this is a free will planet. It's not always good to use your free will. You see, especially if you're, should I do it this way or this way? And your guide is saying to this, and your free will is going, but I don't want to do that. What would you do? You do what your guides tell you to do, because they know you. They know everything, and you don't. You see, so don't ever tell yourself that you're alone and you have nobody, because you have a million people around you. You don't have one guide. You have multiple guides. And you have guides that do different things for you, just depending on who you are, what it is that you want. Even when I went to school and took a test and I didn't know the answer, if it was multiple choice, I asked my guides, is it A, B, C, or D? And I would use the energy or the feeling that I got And let me tell you, the whole time I was in grade school, which is kindergarten to being a senior, I could never get an A in anything. And I don't care how much I studied. It never happened. And I go to college and I get A's in everything. It's like, it's because my mind was different. My thoughts were different. And when I took a lot of my tests, I asked my guides to take it and give me the answer. Because really, is school about memorizing a bunch of stupid stuff that you're never going to use? You know, if you don't use it, what do you need it for? You are told you have to take it. And really the reason is money. Come on, it's the only reason why they do that. So anyway, if you need a lawyer, you need a doctor, you need a friend, whatever you need, you just ask the universe to bring it to you. But you have to be open to receive it. You have to follow your intuition. You have to listen to the thoughts that come into your head. The first thought, not the second, the first. And I'm sure I've left out quite a few signs, but I think I've given you some really good ones. Oh, let me tell you this other thing. Now, I always ask. I don't sit down and go, hey, I'm asking you a question. It's kind of like a thought that I have in my head. And now that I brought it up, I forget what the thought was. And don't say it's a senior moment, because it's not. You don't have senior moments. You're not getting Alzheimer's disease or dementia. Only if you think you are, you'll create it for yourself. So when I forget these things, it's because my guides want me to use my intuition to draw it back out to remember what it is. So if you just give me a second, and let me see if I can bring it back. I don't even remember what I was talking about. Oh well, if I remember, I'll bring it up in another video. Hey, I'm real. You know what I'm saying? I'm real. Oh, I remember it. See? I knew it would come. I knew it would come. So, you know, I'm a spiritual healer and an emotional healer. But there was a time I didn't know it. I mean, I should have known it. But sometimes I'm dense. And so much goes on in my life, and I'm just like oblivious to it, to be honest. Sometimes other people, my guides, they laugh at me and they just send random people to me to tell me, Maxine, do you know you could do this? So anyway, long story short, it was a time that I had my first webpage, which is spiritualhealersassociation.com. And my guy that made my website, he told me to call it a spiritual healer. And this was back in 2008. And I'm like, I don't want to post that I'm a spiritual healer because I don't know if I'm a spiritual healer. And, you know, it's called fear. We don't trust what we receive. So we go through all this fear garbage. I mean, I'm not any different than you. And oh my goodness, this is how my universe, or the universe, showed me that I was a spiritual healer. I drove over to this bookstore and I get out of my car and a homeless man walks up to me. Now, what is the first thing a homeless man's going to tell you? A homeless man's going to tell you or ask you for money. Now, in the past, when I didn't give them money, they would like pee in front of me. I mean, some of them were disgusting. But this man comes up to me and he doesn't ask me for money. He starts having a conversation about how depressed he is and how upset he is. what did I do? I gave him positive feedback and information. It's like, oh my God, this happened twice in the same day. And so I just said, oh, I guess I am a spiritual healer. Because really, what homeless man's going to come up and tell you his problems? They never do. They don't even talk to you half the time. But you see, we are all influenced by spirit. Nobody on this planet has any power. Nobody. And so when you need to know something at the bank, or if you just say, oh God, I need to know this. And then when you feel the right time to go, or you get on the phone and you call the bank or whatever, the person who you connect with is going to give you all your information. And sometimes they'll give you information they're not even supposed to give you. And it's because they're being guided also. So your guides guide other people to give you information. Do you see that's how it works? That's how come the homeless man got up, because he must have got a thought saying, ask this girl or tell this girl your problems so she'll be able to help you. I mean, that's how it works. So don't fear anything, and don't put anybody above you in any way, shape, or form. Nobody has control over you unless you allow it. And I know this isn't part of the video, but it's called a teaching moment. And when teaching moments show up, I need to share it. Does that make sense? So that's how it works. So you can ask for anything you want and wait to receive it. Everything comes at the right time. It's called divine timing. You are always protected. That's just how it is. So I hope this video has helped you. And again, if you ever want a personal session with me, then you can contact me on my Reiki site, which is written underneath this video. And I hope you all are enjoying my videos. And please share them with anyone you think that can use this information. And have a blessed day.